Welcome to West Point Studios. My name's Ian. I'm the studio manager and chief engineer here. I just wanted to talk to you and show you around the studio a little bit today. We're a kind of mid-sized studio based in West London, in sunny Acton. We've been here since 1994, but initially the studio was set up as a private facility for a kind of production company. Since then, about 3 years ago, we kind of opened our doors, became a commercial studio. Started peddling our wares to the world, really. The studio's very unique in the collection of equipment that it's got. We're very much about the whole vintage thing, not to a degree that we'll forget about everything else that happened in the world. I mean, we've got the latest Pro Tools, and we love modern technology, but we've kind of got a philosophy about analog technology that we feel it sounds best when it's handmade, handcrafted by top designers, and that's kind of what we're about, really. The kind of jewel in our crown, really, is this vintage Neve console. This was originally built for the BBC back in 1970. Used to live in BBC Elstree. We've had the opportunity to put it in here, which we've gladly taken, and it simply sounds fantastic. It's kind of it's been modified a little bit, just to kind of bring up the facilities a little bit so that we can do kind of modern music recording. We've had a new monitor section put in. Again, that's been designed by the ex-Neve engineers. We've put kind of direct outs on every channel. I mean, originally this was designed to work with an 8-track tape machine. It's only got 8 group buses there. So to get to move into the world of 24-track, 48-track recording, we've put direct outputs on every channel. So literally, I can have stuff coming up. Got all my mics up there, and I can just bus them off to a tape input or a Pro Tools input, and that gives us gives us enough flexibility to kind of multi-track up to today's standards, really. The key to its sound is Neve are obviously the Rolls Royce of audio manufacturers, and in those early days, I mean, mainly out of necessity, really. I mean, stuff had to be handmade, hand wired. I mean, if you look under the chassis of the console, it's literally bits of wire being soldered from one point to another point. There's no integrated circuits. It's what we call kind of the amplifier design is Class A, but with discrete components. Especially, it's got kind of the world famous Neve mic amps, which sounds simply astonishing. The EQ section, this is all modular. We can move these around. It's kind of what you call a proper plug-in, really. The mainstay are these 1070 modules. Again, they're very vintagey, sound great. They're not parametric, they work on stepped frequencies and stepped gains. But what you get from that is the sound quality, really. They sound a hell of a lot more natural than, say, a parametric EQ that might, can cause all sorts of phase distortions. We're actually also lucky enough to have a few 1081s, which is one of the proper Neve classic equalizers. We've got 4 of those. A couple of other ones there made by Phoenix Audio. Those are a little bit more flexible. You've got more frequencies. Again, they sound great. I mean, they sound rock and roll. They've got that front to them. Again, you've got 5 auxes, 3 echo returns, and 2 here which are called PA and fold back. Those can be either pre or post. The echo is, as you'd imagine, for kind of reverb sends. Those are post fader. And again, it's a unique sounding console, and that's what we liked about it. Again, the whole thing that you get from craftsmanship, from people actually building stuff from scratch with their bare hands, is you get that uniqueness, and obviously Neve's reputation is there, and we're very happy to have that in there. Okay, monitoring here, I've got NS10M Studios, which you got to have. I'm a big fan of them. They're not the most amazing sounding speakers, but that's not really one. They're clear and they're accurate, and the most important thing is that you know where you are with them. You know how they should sound. Up on the mains, we've got ATC SCM 200s. Certainly they'll let you know what's going on in the bottom end. great for cranking for a bit of vibe as well. We're very proud of the monitoring in here. We get it checked and aligned on a regular basis, which is very important. The key thing from our point of view is that when stuff leaves here, if it's been mixed and it goes to mastering, that there are no nasty surprises. There's no rogue frequencies that are somehow being cancelled out here, or alternatively that are being amplified or are resonating. We get a lot of positive feedback from mastering houses, from people that take their records to get cut, that when you go to those absolutely neutral environments, it sounds as it does in the studio. So we're very proud of that. The ATCs are great speakers. They're popular amongst studios, but again, they're clear, detailed, accurate, and big, and they'll tell you exactly what's going on. Can't forget the little aura tone. It's great for doing mono balances. Personally, I still quite like to balance certain things in mono. Literally, stick the desk in mono, especially drum balances. When you're listening in mono, it's nice because you can really hear. You can kind of bring things forward and back in the mix. I mean, you kind of really get a perspective of depth when stuff is in mono. So that's a great little reference. It's also important to know what stuff's going to sound like on a little speaker. So yeah, we love our little aura tone. Amplifiers, we use quad amplification on the small speakers. I think they're a great company, and the bigs are powered by Crown and Chevin amplifiers. Talk to you a little bit about the outboard we've got here. We've tried to assemble a good mix of the past and the present, really. Innovations from throughout the ages. Because I mean, as much as we love the vintage thing, it would be foolish of us to kind of ignore everything that's happened after 1965 or whatever. But I'll talk you through a few things. Probably my favourites are these, which are CTE graphic equalisers, type 7080B. I understand these kind of date from the 1930s, so they're really quite old. They're valve graphic equalisers. I'm told again that these are the first recognisable graphic equaliser, and I mean they just sound great. I mean to use that word, they sound warm, but they've got a graininess to them. Quite often we actually stick these over the stereo bus, stick whatever we're mixing just through those. And they just give a tone to it, and especially the coils inside. If you start hitting them hard, they just start compressing a little bit. They just again in quite in the same way that tape does. They kind of glue things together a little bit, and then that's just with them flat. As soon as you put the EQ in, again they're really old school. They only go up to about 6.5K on the actual slider. But they're great little boxes. Next, K&H UE100. Believe it or not, that's just a mono EQ. It's very aggressive. It's got great big transformers in it. It's got about 22 valves inside it. So it's warm. It's unique sounding. It's great for electric guitars. Anything that you want to be aggressive, and especially the top end. It's got that kind of peaky, spiky top end, which is brilliant for that aggressive kind of old sound, really. My favourite mic amps in the world, which are Telefunken V76Ms. M is the important bit. There's a few variations, but these are the best sounding ones. Again, the only way you can describe them is they sound electric. They're brilliant, especially for dynamic microphones. If you get a dynamic, whatever, like a Bayer M88, stick it in front of a guitar cab, crank it through those, and it's just this big electric sound. They've got this kind of fizzly top end. It's kind of an extended top end, but they just sound big and fat. Again, they're valve, and they're just fantastic. They kind of come from that era again of the 60s and the old Abbey Road EMI desks that the Beatles used to use. Used to feature these a lot as their kind of line amplifiers. But again, if I can, I'll always use those. Unfortunately, we've only got two of them. Kind of moving on to the racks, got some Anthony DeMaria tube limiters, compressors there. They're like an opto tube hybrid. They're opto attenuators, but they've got a valve stage inside. I really like those. Acoustic guitars, bass, they're quite good on. Kind of DBX DSs. I'm not a big fan of DSs. I prefer to do it in Pro Tools and actually manually turn down all the S's, but so I don't use those too much, but they're there, and 902s are probably the best ones that you can get. It's a really good rack. It says Valley Audio. I think this dates from the 70s. You've got a couple of gates, KeepX gates, which are really fast. But the things probably get used the most are the Game Brains, which are really aggressive compressors. They kind of do that big pumping and sucking thing, and they're really kind of creative compressors. You can't really use them in a kind of naturally kind of way. If you want a special effect, then that's the one. Really handy as well because they've got a keychain input as well, so you can do kind of sidechain stuff. Drama Gate, kind of industry standard. Roland Dim D, which is decent chorus. Moving on, again some more Neve gear. We do like our Neve stuff here. These are 2254 compressors, transistors. Again, they're Neve, so it's all about the transformers. They just sound great. Got to do something to the top end. They're not massively flexible in that they don't have an adjustable attack time, but the boffins have pretty much done their job at Neve, and they sound good. That's the main thing. Yuri's got 3 of them. Can't live without them. They just they are the classic compressor limiter for holding stuff into the mix. That's what they do. Again, I've got 3. I'd like 3 more. I can't can't rate them highly enough is what I'm trying to say. Distressors, again, these are from the modern world. It's more of a this is our kind of acknowledgement to the fact that people are still making good gear. Those are great compressors. I love this slight kind of harmonic distortion that you can achieve with them. And again, modern gear 160s, DBX 160 compressors, great on bass, really nice and quick. And again, I wouldn't mind a couple more of those. The DBXs especially, I think they're you can class those as a modern classic. They're simple but effective. Okay, so I'll show you through the racks on this side. First up, we've got a Roland Chorus Echo. We've actually got 2 of these. This is the rack mount version, which comes up on our patch bay. We've also got the little self-contained unit, which is the RE501. I actually prefer that. I don't know if it's down to the individual piece, but that's you gotta have a tape echo. They've got that thing about them. My favourite digital delay is an EMT 245, which I think is again 1970s ish. It's like they designed it as a kind of digital plate. EMT are obviously really famous for their big analog plates, the 140 and 240. This is the digital version. It's old, so this is actually 8-bit technology, but it's just got a sound about it. Lexicon 48EL super posh reverb, one for the Psalm boys. It's world class, world famous. It's if you want that shiny kind of reverb, that's your boy. Got a load more effects processors down here. Probably not worth going through all of them, but like PCM 70, got an Yamaha SPX 900, TC Electronic M3000, kind of standard multi-effect stuff. An old pan scan, can be very handy if you want to do a vibrato, use it in mono. Bell flanger, old H3000, and a couple of little toys really, little Roland vocoder and a Roland stereo flanger. Okay, next, it's not often that we buy a lot of equipment just because we're so well equipped as it stands with all the vintage stuff, but we're lucky enough to give this germanium tone control made by a company called Chandler a trial, and we were blown away with it. Really, it's really what we're about. It's aggressive. It's got this kind of peaky top end. It's fantastic for electric guitars. It's got this gain and feedback control. You can kind of crunch stuff and drive stuff through it. We were really pleased with that, so we got one of those in. Next, again, industry standard GML, massively powerful parametric EQ, great over the stereo bus. Sounds good, but great for just ripping frequencies out of whatever you're doing. Next, got some little AMEC EQs. These are okay. They're kind of a functional EQ. They're just handy to have in your toolkit. Four parametric EQs just to pull out if you need a little extra utility EQ is probably how best I describe them. Summit stuff. These are they're kind of Pultec copies really. It's like classic kind of program equalizer. You can boost and cut. Bottom end again, boost and cut. These are really good. What you can do, because they're a valve equalizer, the whole thing with the boost and cut is that you can actually crank, say 100 hertz where I am here, and actually really drive that frequency through the tubes. But obviously you're getting far too much bass at that point, so you can kind of pull your cut and use the cut to kind of to pull it back to actually get the equalization balance that you want out of it. It kind of works the shape of the shelf as well, really. But those are fantastic. Again, really sweet top end, great for vocals. Over here we've got some more Neve stuff. As you probably guessed, I'm a big fan. Neve EQs. We've got 1064s and 1095s. These are actually the later revision, which Neve added a little 3 in front of the numbers, but they're essentially the same design, same build. These 1064s are great. These are probably my favourite Neve mic amps in the studio. I don't know why, they just sound a little bit more open than everything else. Really do like those a lot. EQ is very similar to the one on the desk. These are 1095s. Again, these are very similar to the 1080 ones that we've got here. They're a lot more flexible than, say, 1064s or the 1070s. They sound great. Slightly different than the 1080 ones in you've got a separate line and mic gain switch. But again, love those. Worth mentioning this little thing, which is made by a company called Little Labs. It's an IBP phase alignment tool. It's really, for something so small, it's really, really useful. It basically allows you to adjust the phase of a signal continuously throughout 180 degrees. So an example would be when you're recording a bass guitar and you've got your line input DI'd and you've got an amplifier as well, and you've got the two up on the desk. And when you flick the phase, in one position you lose bottom end but gain middle. In the other position, flip the phase again, you get your bottom end back and you lose middle. So they're not 180 degrees out of phase with each other, they're somewhere in between. So by using this, we can adjust the DI'd signal from the bass and just sweep this round until we find the sweet spot, until we kind of bring those as much in phase together as they can possibly be. Okay, I'll show you some more stuff. Got some more stuff around here. I mean, the general thing with the studio is there's just bits of gear everywhere. We keep it tidy, we keep it professional, but we've just got so much stuff that's, stuff gets put down here until it gets used. So what we've got here is, I'm a big fan of this British company called Crookwood. It's called a Crookwood paint pot. It's just a dual mic pre. It's very clean, very transparent, which is very useful sometimes. Sometimes you don't want to colour your signal. Vintage Neumann EQs. These are from mastering. These are PEVs. Again, they're really limited, but they sound fantastic. Well, limited in facilities and frequencies, I should say. They do make things sound good, though. Same again, Neumann EQs. These are a little bit more modern. I think probably 80s. These have got great top end. I love sticking these over the stereo bus. Just giving a little bit of sparkle to your mix. Okay, so this is our live area, our main live room. As you'll see, there's a lot of wood in the place, which is all very conducive to the sound of it. It's got a really nice, defined sound to it. It's not too dead, not too live. It's a very controlled sound. Again, it's all wood floors, lots of wood on the walls around. Again, it gives you not an overly bright sound, but a sound that's alive, something that's got a little bit of zing to it. One of the other main things about the room is it's very adaptable. We're able to deaden it down if we want to. We've got these panels, which you'll notice are really reflective on this side. On the other side, we can flip all these around, there's foam on it. So we can kind of adjust the room to suit the requirements in hand, really, depending on it. With all these, as they are, nice and reflective, you get a very subtle kind of controlled reflection off those. But generally, I'd characterise the room as having a nice big fat sound, especially drum sound, absolutely great in here, big and hefty. You notice again, we've got a few bits and pieces that maybe other studios don't have. That's one of our lovely guitars, and got a really nice collection of classic guitar amplifiers. It's a bit of a rare one. It's a Vox AC30. It's a 60s one. It's got a bit of a weird shaped top to it, and it's a separate cab and head. It's got the top boost controls on it, and that's just, it's one of my favourite amps of all time. It's just a classic Vox AC30. Another one, this is a really old one. It's a Marshall JTM 45. It gives you, it's kind of got that Hendrix Little Wing kind of sound to it. It's probably the best top end that I've heard on a guitar amplifier. This is actually a Jennings cab, but inside are a pair of Celestion G12s, just similar to the ones they used in the Vox, like an Alnico guitar speaker. Again, they're a perfect match for that Marshall head. 60s high watt. It's really nice. Actually, it's really nice for putting like a Fender Rhodes through or a Wurlitz piano. It's big, big sound. It's really great if you put a nice distortion pedal, really good quality distortion pedal in front of it. It can really scream and get a really massive sound out of that. Another one of my favourites is an old 60s Fender Bassman. That's actually best for guitars, despite the name. It'll give you that really nice blues guitar sound, lots of bottom end. And there's another little Vox AC30 top boost down there at the bottom. Around here, if you can see it, we've got a Leslie cab. We've actually modified this to allow a line input to go into it, so it's really nice to stick stuff through during a mix. Quite often, even when we're mixing in the studio, this room kind of comes alive. We kind of reamp quite a lot of stuff, and drums are great, or Leslie is great for a vocal effect. So we'll just have this room buzzing with lots of things going on, little amps, just to give the mix, interesting little elements really. There's also an orange head there. We've got a little space echo again there. Down in this section, one of the things that I'm quite big on is, it's signal to noise ratio and using short cables wherever possible. Obviously Neve are famous for their mic amps. We're lucky enough to have four, these are actually 1272 modules, which they're actually originally Neve line modules, but people modify them as to use as mic amps. We've got 6 of these, and these basically live in here. It means that we can have, for at least 8 things, we can have really nice short cables, so they'll get amplified to a good level here before they go through to be recorded in the other room. That means that when they're travelling through the tie lines, it's a good level of signal going through, and it's much more likely to retain its strength on the way through. It's great. We've kind of done A/B comparisons, and you just get a lot more bottom end this way. The signal loses nothing on the way through. Obviously, we've got all our tie lines there. They're all professionally done with oxygen-free cable. Again, even if you don't use that, the signal going through is fantastic. Take you around a little bit. The magic controller, of course, can't forget that. This is what we call the vibe controller. We can just give you a little bit more warmth in your environment by adjusting that. And I'll move around. Again, it's a really nice bass amp, old Ampeg one. It's great. It's great for bass. It's kind of what it does. We've also got, I want to talk to you about our headphone monitoring system. We found this system. It's made by a company called Furman, and it gives you so much flexibility. Basically, what it is it's like a little headphone mixer. We've got a few of these units, so musicians can. Basically, what we'll do is we'll set them up a general balance, but it means musicians are able to adjust their balance as well. Basically, it's got 4 stereo inputs and 8 mono inputs, which means we can give them a really nice balance in here. It gives you a lot of versatility. Of course, you know, we can do a headphone mix from the desk and send them a stereo mix with no hassles. But it means that we can add extra little bits. So if they want a little bit more bass in their cans and their cans alone, then they can get that with this system. We've got like 4 or 5 of these units. It just means that everyone can have the balance in their headphones that they're totally happy with without affecting anyone else. You'll notice we've got a really nice piano here. It's Yamaha Baby Grand. What it lacks in bottom end, it brings a lot to the table, especially in kind of modern pop recordings. It's got a really nice present, it's got a really strong attack on the sound. It really cuts through when we record it. Of course, you can mic it up close. You can mic it off a little bit with some distance in it to get a bit more ambience to it. But it's just really nice to have in the live room. We've opened this door. We've got a little cabinet here. It's like the main purpose of this really is for bass amps. You'll see we've got like a 70s Ampeg Portaflex bass amp, which is, you know, for me the best recording bass amp. It's people like James Jamerson made these things famous, but it's just got a great tone to it. But again, so when we're tracking, it's really nice. If you want complete separation, obviously you can shut off the door, or you can control it a bit by using the sophisticated method of just opening the door a little bit, just to let a little bit of the bottom end of the bass amp into the room. We've also got some more little amps down here. A lot of engineers will tell you that, you know, small amps are great for recording. You can, you know, stick a mic in, and especially little things like this Selma, they're just great for little quirky guitar solos. They've got kind of a nice toppy sound. Got a Watkins there, which I really like. It's a British manufacturer. Looks great, sounds great. It's got a nice little warm sound to it. Little Fender Pro Junior. It's more than one, but it sounds great. Again, Fender Vibrachamp, and a little weird Noble tremolo amp, which is, again, it's got this weird kind of toppy sound, but and a really nice tremolo on it. All our headphones in easy reach. And basically, it's just a really nice room to work in. We get a lot of feedback from people who say, because it's not colossal, they don't get lost in it. They can kind of feel like they're in a similar space to when they're rehearsing. Obviously, the sound quality is a lot better, but it's without sounding like an estate agent. It's a really nice intimate space. People can really communicate when they're in here, and main thing, sounds great, is adjustable, can adapt to any situation. Worth mentioning our screens here as well. Obviously, we can use these again to kind of adjust the sound of the room, or to isolate particular instruments. I'm a big fan of recording a band together. I think the most important thing when you're recording as a band is to feel comfortable, and being able to see people and communicate with them is all important. So I've got a few of the screens here of glass screens and glass screens in them, which, you know, means visibility and stuff like that. But we've done certain projects, like when we did the Rakes album in here, we really did track them as a band, and we made a really nice little vocal booth in here. We've got a curtain just there which we could kind of pull over and really isolate him, sonically isolate him, but he can still hear and he can still see the rest of the band playing, and they can all communicate and get visual cues from each other, which I think is really important. Again, they really help us to kind of adapt and adjust the room to suit the needs in hand, really. Okay, this is our machine room. This is kind of the nuts and bolts, the nerve centre of the studio, really. This is kind of obviously houses our Pro Tools rig. We've got an HD3 system, and I mean, you could go on for ages about the digital analog thing, but I think, it's safe to say really with Pro Tools HD, it's really hit a point where the sound, the kind of the sonic quality that you're getting from these converters is getting to a point. I mean, they sound really good and they sound really transparent, so we're really happy with that. It's obviously really powerful. We've got the old Intel Mac down there, which I think is a dual quad-core 2.66 gigahertz thing, and that handles pretty much everything that we throw at it. 2-inch analog tape machine, so no Atari MTR90 Mark III, and it still gets used, maybe not as much as it would like. But you still can't beat that sound, especially with drums and bass. Tracking drums and bass to this is, it just gives you that glue, and it's just got such a natural sound to it. So yeah, we keep that well serviced and try and use it as much as possible, because that's really good for it to get use. We've also got the power supplies for the Neve. The Neve's actually, like a lot of old desks, actually quite a low powered desk. These are actually 24 volt power supplies. There's 3 of them, but you know, compare it with, say, you know, domestic hi-fi. 24 volts is not a lot. That's the way it works, and you know, we've got 3 of them. Keep the desk rolling, really, keep it going. There's a little phantom power unit down there for the desk as well, and big synchronizers, which again we don't get much use for anymore, because these two sync together. Well, Pro Tools will slave off the tape machine more than happily. So that's the machine room.